Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Anushka, and my group members are Jed and Natalie. And today we will be presenting about punishment and deterrence through the eyes of historical and sociological perspectives. Well, look at the punishment through a historical perspectives. That's mean we have to try to understand the social, cultural, and intellectual events that could have happened in the past that helped shape people's lives and actions. Looking at punishment through a historical perspective means that we have to try to understand the social, cultural, and intellectual events that could have happened in the past that helps shape people's lives and actions. Using a social perspective, punishment is viewed as complex social norms that have been crafted by a combination of social and historical forces that have a variety of effects that affect both criminal offenders and general population as a whole. Punishment is used to correct when something morally wrong has been done and helps authoritative figures usurp their authority. Criminologists and criminal justice practitioners deem punishment as a method of crime control. In this presentation, we would be defining punishment and deterrence, understanding the meanings of historical and social perspectives, provide example of punishment in the past, and use statistics from United States with regards to their history of capital punishment between states to understand its effect on crime deterrence. From a sociological perspective, we will also be attempt to uh, understand and explain the connection between various crime figures and the society at that point of time.
Throughout history, it has been proven that various types of punishments have been used to maintain law and order. Past rulers believed that the most threats of crime committed came from foreigners or outsiders. Offenders who were caught committing crimes were expelled, and those who committed minor crimes were fined or caned. Back then, punishments did not exist in order to be a form of deterrence, but rather simply used to punish any offenders. United States is an example of a country that adopted harsh punishments to ensure conformity with the law. They followed the English common law and used different forms of punishment to maintain social order within the country and put a stop to major social changes. In the past, America was infamous for the severity and nature of the punishments. They frequently used stocks and yokes for major offences, and fines were imposed for major crime breaches. Offenders who refused to pay the fines had to turn themselves in for physical punishments.
Another example would be the history of punishment in China, one of the earliest civilizations in the world. China had laws enforced that depended largely on the measure of the crime committed. Some of the more serious crimes resulted in body mutilation, exile, beatings, or the death sentence. In the past, life exile was considered harsher compared to the death sentence, as the offender would have to live in the consequences of being banished from their own country. Similar to America, victim compensations were allowed only in offences concerning accidental damage or death, where the money was given directly to the victim's family.
Having defined what punishment is, we now have to identify what the deterrence really means. There are two types of deterrence: general deterrence and specific deterrence are them. General deterrence can be defined as the impact of the threat of legal punishment on the public at large, while specific deterrence can be can be seen as the impact of the actual legal punishment those who are apprehended. And now Natalie will be carry on the presentation.
My name is Natalie, and for my part, I'll be further elaborating general deterrence. So, for general deterrence, we will be looking at statistics from different USA states, namely California and New York. California is a state with the death penalty, while New York abolished their death penalty in 2004. So, based on the statistics we've gathered between 2004 and 2005, violent crimes in California roughly stayed the same, with 527 in 2004 and 526 in 2005. And in this presentation, our definition of violent crimes will consist of assault, homicides, sexual abuse, as well as kidnappings. New York also did not see a drastic change in violent crimes despite the abolition of the death penalty, rising slightly from 667 in 2004 to 687 in 2005. And despite the differences between these states being the existence of capital punishment, it can be seen that the death penalty is not a big deterrent in relation to violent crimes, as the statistics do not differ by much. And another example that we use would be a comparison between Florida and New Jersey. New Jersey abolished their death penalty in 2007, while the death penalty in Florida remained. Crime in Florida saw a small decrease from 722 in 2007 to 685 in 2008. Similar to New Jersey, where violent crime decreased from 351 in 2007 to 329 in 2008. So from this, we can reasonably assume that the existence of capital punishment in various points of history does not significantly affect the occurrence of violent crimes. And moving on to the sociological perspective, we will be focusing specifically on the 1990s in the United States. The 1990s was the peak of violent crimes in the US, and we will be attempting to understand what factors in society influence these crimes. One possible factor could be due to the lack of jobs and money after the Gulf War, resulting in people committing crimes in order to survive. So I will now be handing it over to Jet, who will further elaborate. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Jet, and from this point on, I'll be continuing the presentation. So, as Natalie said, the contributing factors that might have led to why crime rose in the US, so I'll be adding on from there. So, in the 1970s, there was a baby boom after the Vietnam War, and hence, logically, in the 1990s, there would have been more young adults without jobs. So, without jobs and without money would have led to a possible rise in crime in selected cities, and the increase in immigrants as well as the growth in the crack cocaine market could also have been a contributing factor to the crime rates, and these are all sociological reasons as to why crime in the 90s hit an all-time high in the United States. So to refresh your memory, the reasons would be a baby boom, the end of the war, rise in immigrants, as well as the growth in the crack cocaine market. So lastly, we will be examining specific deterrence and its effectiveness, again using the United States as an example. So to understand the effectiveness of specific deterrence, we will be looking at the statistics for repeat offenders within a 9-year period from 2005 to 2014. So in the year 2005, there were more than 400,000 prisoners released from United States prisons, but however, there was an average of 5 further arrests per prisoner over the next 9 years, which is a total of almost 2 million arrests for the same prisoners. And out of those released prisoners, 83% of them were rearrested during the 9 years, with 82% of those arrests happening within the first 3 years. So as you can tell, they were not very good at staying out of prison. And half of the prisoners who did not get arrested within the first 3 years, the rare few, did however get arrested within years 4 to 9, and 44% of the prisoners were arrested within the first year of being released. So to put it quite simply, going to prison might be punishment, but it certainly didn't seem to deter those prisoners from not committing any more crimes. So based on statistics, it's quite obvious that it's not an effective deterrence, whether it's specific or general, because crimes are still happening and repeat offenders are still repeat offending. And the fact that these criminals choose to reoffend even after jail shows that even with punishment, it has no effect on whether someone wants to commit a crime, and it won't exactly stop them. So in conclusion, after exploring punishment and deterrence through sociological and historical perspectives, The group and I believe that despite punishment being a cornerstone in all societies, it does not adequately result in deterrence amongst both possible offenders and repeat current offenders. Thank you.